As a beginner, you're probably wondering when you can start to solo and improvise. And luckily for you, today is the video where you're going to take your first steps into learning. To learn how to improvise, we're going to be using a very small part of the major pentatonic scale that looks like this. Using this provides a foundation for scales, because this is part of a major pentatonic scale, meaning this shape can be found along the fretboard dependent on your key, which is more of a lesson for another time, as this lesson does not concern theory, more of expression. So now we've established there's this box you need to memorize super easily and then play in. However, in this box, there are 4 things you need to focus on that I would call the 4 components of making a good solo/improv. So the first component is going to be sliding, which intuitively is just done like so. This is the easiest phrasing technique to learn for, I think, obvious reasons, and you're going to want to incorporate these because you can slide into your shape like that. You can slide in between notes. Now we get into the probably favorite one of most people, is going to be bending. This is quite complicated as a beginner. Your form will not be perfect the first time you try this. You just have to persist. I have more in-depth videos and shorts out about bending. However, here's a quick overview of how to bend. Go to any note in this box, right? We're going to choose this one, and you're going to bend it up like that. Now, what I will help you with in this video is your first intuitive thing, which is going to be to push it like that, which bends it. However, it's just the way that is not the most efficient, and that is totally okay if that's the first way you try to bend, but you need to switch to where you pivot your wrist like this. You can see that elbow motion as part of that wrist turning. And doing this is going to give an easier bend, and I will find it easier to bend up to a proper pitch, but still, don't worry about it. Just try to get this form down before pitch. So the third one is something some people struggle with, some people have a natural hack for. You never know. And that's going to be hammer-ons and pull-offs. So a hammer-on is when you just play a note like that and you get in like that. This is used a ton in phrasing to make a lot of stuff that sounds like this. So you can do a lot with it once you get the muscle memory down. And to be honest, this one is super self-explanatory. It's just a ton of practice and work that will go into it, but it'll be so worth it for you in the long run. With these phrasing techniques, I cannot stress enough that when you are starting this beginner practice in this box, not really worried about key or pitch, you're going to be worried about the expression. You don't want this robotic bend. You want that bend to be a statement, more like that. This fourth part should be a very primary focus for anything you learn, which is rhythm. The most overlooked thing by beginner players and even intermediates. I was extremely guilty of this, and that definitely held my progress back for a little bit of time. So learning rhythm now is going to allow you to have less bottlenecks in the future. So the way you're going to practice rhythm is you're going to keep it in eighth notes to make it really simple and not overcomplicate things, which would just be a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You can move this across different tempos. I recommend starting between 70 and 90. You can figure out which will work best for you and work up and down from that range. There's many different types of note lengths you can do within eighth notes, and I'm going to show them to you. So there's the whole notes, which will last the whole 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then there's half notes, which 1 and 2 and. There's dotted half notes, which are 1 and 2 and 3 and then of course quarter notes, 1 and. Now, what's really tricky, that's going to take you some time to grasp, that you need to learn now, is going to be dotted notes. So dotted quarter note is going to end on the and, like this. 1 and 2 and. And so if you play a dotted quarter note to an eighth note, which would make up the duration of a half note, would be 1 and 2 and. So make sure you get those down, as those will appear a hell of a lot more throughout your playing, and they are by far the trickiest thing for me in rhythm. So now that you know to focus on the expression of your bends, your slides, your hammer-ons and pull-offs, and make sure you have your rhythm dialed in by either using a backing track or playing to a metronome, you will be able to start your roots for soloing as a beginner, and depending on how far along you are, you might actually be able to make a coherent musical sentence with phrasing. This is a starting point. There's a ton for you to excitingly build on after this key first process. And of course, if there's anything you need help on, leave a suggestion in the comments that I can use for a video idea, or I could just answer it to you directly in the comments.